my Maisie girl. She is 8 months old now. She's probably 12-ish pounds, maybe a little bit more. She needs to be groomed, so I'll be doing that this weekend. And she's my constant shadow, and which I love. So I thought she hasn't been on in a while, and she needed some time to be on. All right, you can go lay down on a blanket or something, okay? Mom's podcasting right now. Oh, goodness. So welcome. Hello, everybody. My name is Carrie. Thank you so much for being here. This is episode 135. It's April 11th, 2025. And thank you for being here, for checking it out. If you're new, this is my little channel where I talk about all the creative and crafty things I do, mostly knitting, some quilting. Today's going to be pretty heavy on my journey with my machine knitting project. I have spent a lot of time working on that and figuring it out, and I'm going to share all of that with you. I do have a couple of hand knit things, and then I'll talk about the quilt that's on the back of the wall. So, yeah. So you got to see my little Maisie. She is very sweet. She is still very active puppy, and we're working on not barking at everything. Yesterday she was barking at the crow that was in the tree because evidently that was scary. Or she just didn't want it in the tree. I don't know. So we're working on it. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of stuff, a lot of hours put into my machine knitting journey as I try and figure out how to figure out my punch card system, which does Fair Isle. And yeah, so I have something pretty cool I want to show. I do have the winners to last episode. I mentioned a couple of things that I had picked up while at QuiltCon in Phoenix in February. And so I've picked winners. I am not going to go to the end. You can see it right now. I'm going to tell you who the winner is. So I have this pattern by Violet Craft. It is a English paper piecing pattern. And I'm including a little template that I also picked up. The winner for that is Lee Gifford. Lee's been a follower and a supporter of my channel for years. So I was excited that my YouTube picker picked you, Lee. And I hope that you enjoy doing this. I know you said that you hadn't tried it before, so maybe this will be a good way to learn how to do it. And I'm going to throw a couple of other little things in it that I got from QuiltCon as well. So congratulations, Lee. And then I had a couple of charm packs. They're a little floral pack. It's a small pack. I don't know how many squares are in it, but I had 2 packs of this. And the winner is Sharon Elrich 3241. So Sharon, hopefully you are in the US and I can mail it. Both of you, please contact me. You can either email me at thecreativeobsession@gmail.com. You can message me on Instagram. I am Carrie Makes Stuff on Instagram. I know Lee follows me. I'm not sure about Sharon. Sharon, if you don't follow me, I have set my account set to private, but I will just put in a request. I did that because I was getting a lot of like bot accounts following me that are doctors and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know what harm they can do. I don't know if they get like a list of your followers. Oh, no, we're not doing that. I don't know if they are trying to get like a mailing list. I don't know why they do it, but I don't like that they do it. And so if I set my account to private, that pretty much stops them because I can block them and all that. So anyway, congratulations to both of you. Lee, send me your address. I'm sure I've gotten your address before, but I don't know that I've saved it. So give me your address. I did a few weeks ago, went and spent some time up in Seattle with Aaron and Chip of Fiber Hustle. And so hopefully you guys, we recorded a episode on there podcast, so they have a channel, Fiber Hustle, and so some of the stuff might be a little bit repetitive from me being there because I talked about some of this stuff there. But yeah, so if there's anything that maybe is unclear, go watch their latest episode that I was on, because I probably went into it more detail on their channel, but I'll try and do my best. So okay, so all that stuff out of the way. She's gonna be talkative. The quilt that's on the wall, that is my summer version of my series that I'm doing. The pattern is Knitted Blooms by Lo and Behold Stitchery, and I am doing the wall hanging size. I'm going to do 4, I want to say identical quilts. They won't be identical because the colors will be different, but 4 quilts that'll look like that, and they'll be seasonal. So this is my summer. I chose to do summer first because I knew that it was going to take me a little while to put it together, and by the time I get it quilted and everything, it'll be summer. So I'm going to find a place to hang it. I think I'm going to hang it in my stairway, and so I'll hang it there, and then I'm going to make the other seasons. So next will be fall that I'll do, and then when fall comes around, I can just change the quilt out, but they'll all be the same size. So whatever hanging system I use, a rod, whatever it's going to be, will fit the same quilt in just different seasons. So it was a nice quilt to put together. I did find that I had a couple issues. So the pattern calls for you to press the seams open. I don't care for doing that. For quilting, I feel like it has better results when you turn the seam to one side, which is pretty traditional, typical of making quilts, but I can understand now after making this why she did that. I pressed them to the side, went through and figured out which way would best do it. There's a couple spots that just didn't work for that, but I can see why she had you press it open, because when you put all the blocks together, all your seams are facing the same direction, and that makes it so that you can't really nestle the seams. I also had a little bit of an issue. Okay, I'll make sure she's not under there. All right, sorry. I realized I jiggled the table a lot last time, so I'm going to really try hard not to do that. So anyway, I made 3 of the blocks, almost finished the 3rd one. It was pretty much done, and my sent my machine to go get serviced. Just like I hadn't had it serviced in years. And basically it's just like, get in there, they clean out any of the dust bunnies that are in there, and they oil things and grease things and make sure everything's tight and all that kind of stuff. I have an old machine, and so I want to take care of it because I love it. It's an old Pfaff. So my friend Jenny was going to send hers in, and I'm like, yeah, great, take mine with you. So I sewed on my featherweight, which is a little Singer featherweight, old, I think mine's from the 50s. And I love sewing on it and everything. I'll just set that up and I'll just sew on that while my machine's out. Well, I guess it's kind of like a gauge. So my 1/4 inch was off just like a thread width. It probably wasn't off much more than that. And throughout each seam, you figure how many seams are making the block. That green block was the last one I did, and it ended up being about a 1/2 inch smaller than the other 3 because I sewed it on a different machine and had a different 1/4 inch. I know my Pfaff is really accurate. I don't have a 1/4 inch foot for my featherweight. I had gotten one years ago, but it wasn't an accurate 1/4 inch, so I don't use it. And so I had put a little like barrier thing, like this is my 1/4 inch, and I was just off like just a smidge, and it made a difference. So I don't know if you could tell, but it kind of goes whoop like that. Luckily, I am going to quilt it. I've got to take care of Maisie. She's barking. Being the fact that I am going to be quilting it myself, I can work around it. And if I just need to just trim it to square it up or something, I'm fine with that. Some of the quilting will take care of it because it over the space of it to work in that 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch, I think I can do. I'm not super worried about it, but I thought it was an interesting proof of why you've got to be really accurate, and you have to be the same. So if I had sewn the whole thing on the featherweight and used that same seam allowance, it would have worked out fine. The overall quilt may have been a little bit of a different size, but all of the blocks would have fit. So being that I did the one block with a different machine, and then I realized yesterday I have my mom's old faff that she can't sew on it anymore, and I forgot I had it. I could have just used that. But I mean, it's okay. I used my featherweight and I loved it. It sews great and it all works out. I got my machine back. It's all clean. I haven't sewed with it yet. But yeah, so next is going to be cutting out and getting ready to do the fall quilt. If I don't get sidetracked and do something different in the meantime, which could very well happen. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. I think it's cute. So that's my quilt. I don't quilt as much. I don't sew really. I sew Saturdays with my friends on Zoom. We have our little sewing group. They're the people I went to QuiltCon with. I've been to Sisters Quilt Show with them. We get together every Saturday and we just sit and visit while we sew on quilts and talk about quilting and talk about everything. So it's great. It's kind of like having a knit night, but it's a quilt day. Okay, so let's do some knitting. I'm not going to go into the machine knitting quite yet because that's kind of a lot. And I'll try and keep it short. I tend to maybe over explain things sometimes, but I'll try and keep it short. One thing I did dig out, and I was watching Michael at Piece for Piece Crafting, his podcast, and he had brought out his Go-Go Dynamo shawl by Stephen West. It was a make-along from last year, and I started it, and I got really far and just sort of got burned out on it. And I'm like, and he dug his back out, like, I'm going to get back to it. I'm like, you know what? I really need to. I've put a ton of work into it. There's a lot of yarn in it. I do love it. It was just like time to move on at the time. So I'm bringing it back out, and I am doing the part that goes at the top. There is also another border that you add on at the bottom here, but I don't think I'm going to do it. I don't think I need it to be any bigger. We'll see. I'm going to finish this part and then we'll see. So I think it's gorgeous. It was a really fun, I was going to say quilt, a really fun knit project. It just was a lot. And so by the time I got done with this part, which was slow going and, like kind of intense, and I kind of messed up on it a little bit, I was like needing a break from it. Like I just need to work on something else. And I picked up like a couple of easier projects to do and put this aside. So I dug this back out and it was like really enjoyable to get back to making it. I really enjoy it. So this is one of my current projects. So hopefully next time I will have this finished. Maybe it'll be a good thing to take to Rhinebeck, because I did decide to go to Rhinebeck, and that might be a good thing to wear because it'll be 3 years this year since I went the last time, and it was pretty warm, and I roasted. I was like, I had my Rhinebeck sweater and all that, and I was like, oh, it's just too hot because it was like, I don't know, 70 degrees, which I don't wear a sweater when it's 70 degrees around here. I only wear a sweater around here when it's like cold. So anyway, I thought maybe a shawl, just kind of wear it in the morning or something. I don't know. I've got time. I haven't even bought my airline tickets. I'm waiting for prices to go down. So another project, and I think I shared this with you all last time, is a crochet project. And I'm nearly done with it. So this is the V-Stitch Cardi by MJ's Off the Hook. And, see, now she's laying right there. I can't scoot back. I've got it pretty much done. My only issue, there's mistakes, but I don't really think you're going to notice. So I have to pick up and knit sleeves. But I'm not, like, super happy with this little flap. And it's like, the seam, the armholes good size, because it's supposed to just be like a throw over kind of thing. Sorry. So yeah, I think it fits fine in the armhole. It's just really wide. So I don't know if I haven't blocked it yet. So I don't know if that will be better once I block it. And so I'm going to do some sleeves. I don't know how long. I need to make like an I-cord that will tie it. So it'll just tie right here. But the length is good. It is made with a cotton. It's a Pearl Soho Buttercup cotton. I had troubles with this last time. It's okay. It's butter something cotton by Pearl Soho that they don't make anymore. So I thought for a little summer throwover kind of thing, like maybe going to Flock. So I'm going to be at Flock, which is in Seattle in August 10th-ish, somewhere around there, whatever that weekend is in August. I will be there. I will be there for just for fun, but for Fiber Hustle. They have a booth this year again. And so I thought, well, that could be something cool. So I'm going to continue sleeves. Excuse me, I know that my issue with crochet, and I have like major issues with crochet, but I keep trying. Excuse me, and I got the hiccups. Is that I don't understand the instructions. I've never made one of MJ's patterns before. She has a lot of them, and so I don't know if it's the way she writes or it's just that I don't understand it, but I get a little confused. She did make a video to support it, so I'm having to kind of look at that. And I think all I have to do is just pick up and continue that V-stitch pattern and then slowly make some decreases. I don't know how long I want the sleeves. Honestly, I might just go just a little bit, just make a short sleeve. That'd probably be easier. So it's almost done. And then I'll block it. It is cotton, and I did make a granny square cardie for last year's Flock that I've never worn, and then some of my granny square centers are coming unraveled, and so it's in a pile somewhere because I got pissed. So yeah, we'll see if I wear it. I mean, it was a nice project to work on. Whether I wear it or not is always the unimportant part because I just like to make things. Something else that I finished knit-wise, and I did show this on Fiber Hustle's podcast, is my cowl cape. Cowl cape. So I have been wearing this thing a lot, and I think I need to make another one. So this is the Cowl Cape by Sarah Osepik, and it's just exactly what it is. Now, the pattern calls for this like big cowl neck, and I didn't want to do that because I just figured this is something I want to throw on like in the evenings. You just need a little something without making myself too hot, and I didn't need this big cowl. Now, I should have knitted my ribbing with a smaller needle size. Because the pattern didn't come, that's because I'm not wearing it right, Carrie. The pattern didn't come with instructions for making it like this. I did follow a couple of people's project pages where they also did. Why am I? All right, there we go. I keep fussing. Anyway, so I did ribbing instead of the cowl. I knit for about 3 inches before I started the increases because it has you knit like a long ways because it's supposed to be this big cowl. And then I just followed the pattern, alternating skeins every 2 rows. The gray is Barnyard Knits in the colorway Frost, and the gradient is from Huckleberry Knits. And it's like Practical Tactical. I think it was the colorway. I'm not sure, and I will look this up and link below if Huckleberry Knits is still dying, but I don't think she is. But I wanted something that would use up all the colors, so I got towards the bottom. I thought this bright green would be perfect as the edging, and I had about 18 grams left of the gradient. And I thought, okay, I don't know how much it's going to take to do the edge. So let me just stop there. I did 6 rows of garter and then did a picot edge, and I had 4 grams of the yarn left. So I think I did pretty good, because I don't know, I maybe could have gone one more round before doing it, but I didn't want to risk it and then have to take out the picot because I didn't have enough yarn. So I think works great. It's knit on a 6, I think. So fingering weight, has lots of drape. I do wear this a lot because it's like I'll just get a little chilled, just need to throw something on, and it doesn't get in the way. It goes to about my elbow, so it doesn't get in the way of anything. And I mean, it's pretty nice. So I really have thought of making another one, because it was that kind of knitting that you do that you don't have to think about it. It's that mindless knitting, like some people, you've got socks, or you've just got something you don't have to do a lot of thinking. It's pretty much that. You are doing some kind of raglan type increases for a while, and then you just knit straight until you get to the size you wanted. Another reason why I opted out of the cowl is I didn't want to use the yarn for that, because I wanted to make sure it was long enough and didn't just like come to my boobs. I wanted it to go a little past that. And so I'm glad I did it that way, because had I used a lot of the yarn here, it would have been shorter, and I think that would have just, I feel like it would have looked funny. So yeah, my cowl cape, it is a paid for pattern. I think when I got it, it was free. I've had it in my library for years, kept wanting to make it, and finally just decided to do it. So yay for me. Okay. So I am going to go into my knitting machine project that I've been spending a lot of time developing and learning and practicing and all of that stuff. So I had shared a while ago that about my knitting machine, and it can do Fair Isle. So it has a punch card, which is like a Mylar. I don't have one here. It's like a Mylar paper, and it feeds through the machine, has holes in it, and the holes, when you push the carriage across, the mechanisms inside read those holes, and they're like, oh, you want these needles, and then I can knit with 2 colors. And it knows to pick your main color, and it knows to pick your like color work color. And so I've known how to do that. I've just made like swatches and samples and played with it, like what does this design look like and that kind of stuff, but I've never made anything with it. And I was inspired by an Instagram account that came across my Instagram feed, Tangled Forest, and she made an entire sweater, all color work, and she did from top to bottom, like you're doing it in rows basically, because you're doing, you're knitting back and forth this way. And so you're getting rows of design, and she had a different design for each section. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. This is fantastic. How do I make this work? But I don't have the punch, and I don't know. And I decided to buy the punch. I've been wanting to for years, pretty much since I bought the machine, and I've had the machine for quite a while. So I bought a roll of the Mylar paper so I could make a design as long as I want. My machine, and it's really common, is a 24 stitch repeat. So the punch card is 24 stitches. And then what it does is it just repeats it for however many stitches you have engaged on your machine. So I played with it, and I made my little swatch. And I realized that I was like trying to learn what the machine is doing, because what I learned is when you feed it in, what you're seeing isn't exactly what it's knitting. It's knitting what's like down in there 7 rows below. And so learning where I'm changing colors, I had this like magenta pink as one of my colors, and it really didn't stand out very much. So that was good that I did a swatch. Also to get a gauge so that I could make a sweater. So I thought, well, that felt kind of dense too. I kind of wanted something a little more open because I'm afraid of it making me too warm. So I knitted again, changed my gauge, and just sort of practiced learning when to change colors so that I was getting the entire flower, the entire leaves, like whatever I was going to get. And made a different gauge, made it a little bit looser. And I'm like, okay, I think I like this. It's going to be a little airier, keep me from being so warm. The yarn I'm using is Holst Garn Super Soft. It is a very woolly yarn, but it softens when you wash it. It still has spinning oil and stuff like that on it when you're knitting right off of the, I got it on a cone. I got the dark color on a cone, and it's like elderberry or something. And you can also buy it in 50-gram little cakes. And so that's what I did. I got 50-gram cakes of the colors that I want to use. And then I have a cone of the main color because I bought it on Black Friday sale for like $27. And it's like 3,000 something yards. So I'm like, okay, I got that. I got my gauge that I like. I think I understand what I'm doing on the machine. I also realized that I goofed on punching my punch card. So I don't know if you can see, there is like a solid line of the dark purple right through the flower. And that I skipped a line when I was punching and didn't realize it until I knit it. So I'm like, okay, lesson learned. I got to redo this punch card. And now that I have gauge, I can create the pattern. And so there is a website that you can subscribe to called Knit It Now. It is for machine knitting. When I first got my machine years ago, I subscribed to it, learned pretty much like how does this work and what can I do. And then I just did it for the 1 year and like, okay, I'll get back to it. And I've mostly used my machine for knitting socks. So I haven't done anything real fancy. I have a ribber attachment for it, which is like another whole bed of a machine that just attaches to it so that I can knit in the round, and that's how I do socks. I've never made ribbing on it. So I thought, okay, before I jump in, I got my design, I've got my gauge. I should probably knit something to practice, like learn how to do the ribbing. Learn how to do the shaping on the neckline, because I'm going to have to do that while I'm doing color work. Like I should probably learn that. So I picked out this green yarn that I had. This is yarn that I dyed, and I tried to knit something on the machine a couple years ago, I think it's been, with a pattern that I found for free online, and it's like it wasn't working. I don't know. For some reason, it just wasn't working. I ripped the whole thing out. So I had this yarn in lots of little balls of yarn because I had to cut, because you cut it here and you cut it here. And so when I unraveled it, I had it in a lot of different pieces, but I had enough to make something. And I thought, okay, perfect. I'm going to practice with this. So I'm making a vest. I decided to make a vest because I thought if it's color work, it's going to be pretty warm. I don't know that I want to tackle sleeves right now. Like I don't want to tackle color work sleeves, and I wasn't sure how it would look if I did color work on the front and back and then just did solid sleeves, which would probably look okay. But I thought for the purposes of what I'm doing, I'm going to do a vest. So on the Knit It Now website, you find they have several patterns for different things, cardigans and vests and sweaters, and I think they have skirts, and like it's all these garments that you can make. You pick whatever pattern you want and you put your gauge in there and you put the measurements that you want. Like you want it to be, it's knit flat. So you just measure, you don't want it to be this wide. How much drop do you want in the neck? How much drop do you want for your armhole and all that kind of stuff? And then taking all those measurements and your gauge, it produces a pattern for you and then tells you how to go about it. You're going to knit so much for your ribbing, and you choose however you want to do your ribbing. You could do ribbing, or you could do like a folded hem. You could, it's just like you're going to do this much to get your bottom edge, right? So I wanted to do ribbing. So that was quite a bit of practice. I could not get it to work. I was like, it was really complicated. I did realize I was trying to do 2x2 ribbing, and then I realized in watching the videos and really like examining it that 2x2 for some reason was harder than 1x1. And I'm like, well, then I'm just going to do 1x1 because I want to be successful at that. And it took quite a bit of practice, but I got it to work. So I made ribbing, and that was pretty cool. So this is just some sock yarn I had left over from some socks. And it was also on how to do the edge, which gave you kind of like almost a like a tubular cast on, or like Italian cast on or something, where like the knitting looks finished on the edge. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. So I'm like, okay, got it. I got it. I know how to do the ribbing. Okay, let's go for it. So I did it, and I got my ribbing, worked out great. Everything was working good. I'm like, okay, I think I got this. I understand the shaping part. Watch some videos. Like, I'm just kind of like learning as I go. And I'm like, okay, I think I like this. And then I went to go do the armhole bands and stuff. And it was like, that didn't make sense to me for some reason. I thought, you know what, I'll just pick it up and knit that by hand. So that's what I did. But when you're knitting on the machine, you don't know what gauge that is for knitting needles. Like, it's got a tension dial that you adjust, and it goes up to 10, and that dial will change your gauge. But I knit this on an 8. Well, it's not like knitting with a size 8 needle. So I just kind of was like, I think that looks like it's about a 5 or whatever I picked up. And so I picked up the stitches. I think I needed to pick up with a smaller needle and do a different bind off. So I think I might rip out this armhole ribbing and do that a little differently. So I did do the neck, and I'm happier with the neck. I went down a little bit smaller of a needle than I did over here, and I did an Italian bind off, sewn bind off, which gave me a similar edge as what's happening on the bottom, and it doesn't have, it just laid better, and it didn't have this like kind of wavy. So I need to take that out and redo it. And then I haven't done this side yet. So I didn't cut it. I just put a binding clip with the little ball that I have so that I don't cut it, because I have this yarn in so many little pieces. But I'm like, okay, this works. I think this will fit fine. It turned out a little bit longer than I thought it would, which could be just because it's superwash. I don't know. I did measurements. I did gauge. I did all that stuff. All right. All these yarns all over. But it was a good learning experience. So I got that far done, and I'm like, I am ready to do the color work. Man, let's go. I'm a pro now. I can do this. So I had repunched my card based on what the pattern told me how many rows my garment was going to be, because I didn't want to because it's going from bottom up, and I didn't want to get up here and have like half a flower, because I thought that's going to look dumb. So I changed the design from this a little bit and picked a different flower and different design so that I could have my flower motif. Where do I have it? So I have my flower motif and my little like separation thing in a number that was divisible by the number of rows for the sweater. There's been a lot of math. So this I did up on a website that I found in doing all this research called Stitch Fiddle. So I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but it gives you a graph that you can color in. I printed this in black and white because it didn't need to be in color, but you color in your little squares to make your design, whatever design you want to be. You can do it for cross stitch, knitting, crochet, like whatever. You pick what your craft is, how wide you want your graph. So I knew I could only work within 24 stitches. And I just kind of filled in the little squares and printed it off so that it was easier for me to then transfer that onto the little Mylar punch card. I used designs from Pacific Knit Co. So she has these doodle designs. She has doodle decks, which I have this basic card, basic doodle deck. I also have the Seattle one. And then I went on her website to be like, okay, what else does she have? Because when I was looking at these, I realized these are based off of 24 stitch repeats. And I'm like, well, this is perfect. She's already designed it for me. I just have to figure out what it is I want to use. So I went on her website and you can buy just the charts without buying the actual deck. And so I bought a floral and her Valentine because they had different kinds of flowers and stuff in them. And so I just printed them off, and then I cut out what I wanted and was just like, how do I want this to work? And then I, had some other little separator kind of things. I think I took a design out of the card deck. Like that's her whole idea is you mix and match and you just kind of doodle with your knitting. So I got that, took that design, put it in Stitch Fiddle so I could make like this is my repeat. And then I took that and I marked on my Mylar with I have markers that are used for like overhead projector stuff that you wipe off with water. Because I use them for my long arm and stuff, and I'll mark on my knitting machine if I need to be like these stitches here without having to recount them, because then it just wipes off with water. So wrote that on the Mylar before I punched it, because if I goofed and I have this hole, then I'm like, oh crap, I have this hole, I have to throw it away, which I did find out you don't have. I found out a way to fix that if you did make a mistake. So anyway, redid my punch card, and so then I did another swatch to just make sure my design was right. And so I just had, this is just different fingering weight yarn I have a little ball of. I'm like, I just need to see if the design works. So I did it. I'm like, yep, my design works. Okay, great. I'm good to go. So I've knit all these different swatches. And so, so then I started going for it. So I'm like, okay, today's the day. I know how to do ribbing. I know how to do this. I'm a pro. Knit it, got through about halfway. You do the back first. I did about halfway through the back, and it was pretty stiff going across. And I'm like, I don't remember it feeling like that. Am I doing the right gauge? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm doing the right gauge. Got about halfway through, stopped to eat some lunch or something, and I'm like, before I start again, let me just double check that I'm using the right tension. No, I wasn't. I was doing a tension one whole number tighter. And I'm like, well, it's working. Like it was working beautifully, but I have gauge for it set at tension 9, not tension 8, and the difference between the two. So when I did this one, this was tension 8, that's what was stuck in my head. I thought it was like, it would have made it about 2 inches overall. The garment would have made it about 2 inches smaller. And I'm like, I don't want it to be 2 inches smaller. I don't want it to be like a bodysuit. So I'm like, well, that sucks. So I now have this, which is pretty much half of the design. The white is just waste yarn. And so I think what I might do with this, because I thought I'm not ripping it out. Forget it, because you did say the yellow, then you cut it. So you have a limited strand, and I don't want to mess with it. I have plenty of yarn. I'm not going to mess with it. So what I'm thinking is I might try and felt this, because it is a woolly yarn. It will felt. Try and felt it, which will make a tighter fabric, and then make a bag out of it. I don't know that I need a bag to match my outfit, but why not? So I think that might be a different craft project. So started it again, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the 20th time I tried to knit this thing. And it was giving me so many fits for some reason. It was like I would forget to engage something. Like, oh, that didn't work. Start over. Like it was working so beautifully on the one that was going to be too tight. And then when I started again, it dropped stitches. And it's like, oh my gosh. I did get through it. I have the back piece done. I did block it. So this is all of the colors that are in my vest. This is the back. I did mess up here because you put stuff on hold, and then what I had to do is, because this knit a little bit further, so now I'm further on the punch card, I have to go back where I left off over here, try and get those needles to engage, and I did it wrong and the whole thing just came off. It just like you're off the machine. I've got loose stitches. I'm in the middle of color work. I had a fit. I was so like, I'm like 10 rows from finishing and the thing falls off. Just this little part. I just had to finish this little part right here. So I sat and got, kept the stitches that I could keep. And I'm like, some of them dropped into the color work. I have to figure out where I am. So I sat, figured out where I am on the chart, and pick up those stitches. I put it on waste yarn, which is what I should have done in the first place. Would be like having a lifeline. And figured out, rewatched the videos, because clearly I had forgotten from the time I started here to here what I was supposed to do. And I got it to work. I think I'm one stitch off on the design, but it doesn't matter. It's going to be on my back, and it absolutely doesn't matter because at this point it's just done. So I think, so this is the back. The front will have more of a crew neck, but I am really happy with how this turned out. It's colorful and it's fun, and it was a labor of love. It literally was a labor of love because it's been a process. So I will now make the front, and then I have to determine how I'm doing the neck and the arm, because it's the same pattern as the green one. So I'll at least get the front done. I might just hand knit it like I did and just use smaller needles. I think this is pretty equivalent to maybe a 2 needle on a size 9, on the tension 9. Now my machine is a standard gauge machine. It only goes up to maybe sport, but really fingering is kind of where it's happy. So it, I mean, even with the issues, I did knit this bit faster than if I would have done it by hand. So I'm gonna cast on for the front now that I know how to work the whole shaping thing. I will put the different things on waste yarn so that if things fall off, it's way easier to put it back on the machine. I'm not losing any important stitches. So it has been really fun because it has been something that I've had to try and figure out, and it's been something to learn and just be really proud of how it turns out. So I've got plans. I've already got plans for what I want to do next. I think I'm going to do a fingering weight, because I mean, I do have a mid-gauge machine as well, which goes up to worsted Aran. Worsted's probably the best. Aran's a little thick. So I can do like DK sweaters or stuff like that. I can do fingering weight on it. It just is a really loose gauge, because your lowest gauge, your needles are spread apart further, which makes the gauge bigger. And anyway, I want to do another fingering weight sweater on my machine. Probably not color work, but and then that'll go easy, and actually like do sleeves and stuff like that. So the main issue that I had with getting this done was just learning the color work part and doing all the math and figuring it out. I did find an error in my pattern after I got all this done. It's very minor. I'm not going to point it out. But what I learned is because you're punching out with this special tool just for this, and so you get the little punches, you know, the little dot, you can just tape that back into a hole and the machine won't read that hole. So it kind of erases it. So I had something in the flower that I need to change. And so I just kind of just did a little repair this morning. So when I do the front, it's going to be perfect. So because your tension throughout stays exactly the same, right? You've got your hand knitting, which can change if you're like stressed knitting or if you're like relaxed, if you're drinking, you know, like your gauge can change. On the machine, it stays the same. So when I put these two together, my seams should match. My design won't continue necessarily, but the striping will match. And I just mattress stitched the sides. I Kitchener stitched the shoulder seams. I just put them on a needle and just did a Kitchener stitch, so that actually looks really nice. Yeah, and then I probably do the arm and stuff by hand, but just, you know, make sure I do a smaller needle. And now that I know how to do an Italian bind off, I mean, it takes some time, but I think the look is like perfect. So this is planning on being my Rhinebeck sweater. At least for now, so that if it's warm, I'm just wearing a vest. My Rhinebeck sweater 3 years ago was made with this same yarn, and it was a single layer, and I was warm, but it's very lightweight. It's a very lightweight wool, and I'm hoping I get a lot of use out of it. The reason why I went with that is because for my first project, I didn't want to use like expensive wool, and this was pretty inexpensive. Like you could get a 50-gram cake for like $4. So it's pretty inexpensive project, and I think for color work it's perfect because, you know, having that woolier texture helps hold that color work together. And so yeah, I've still got floats and stuff. I also learned on the green, let's see, on the green, on the top row was a 7-stitch span that I would normally catch in my hand knitting, and I learned how to do that. You just kind of stick that strand up on a needle, and then when it knits the next row, it just sort of catches it. So I learned that too, because when you're knitting on the machine, you're seeing the backside, and so that was easy to do. So yeah, I mean, it looks really nice and clean from the backside as well. I have a ton of ends to weave in because every start and stop has its own little fringe, but I'm not afraid of that. And I don't have to weave this in as far because it'll just sort of felt itself when I wash it. So I'll make the top or the front, I'll block that because then that makes it easier for seaming and stuff. And then I'll do the ribbing and all that stuff and then give it a really good soak. Let all the oil, like just get it nice and soft and perfect. So, did I bore you? Did I lose you? I probably lost most of you because you're probably like, whatever. But it's been fun. It has been fun. I am looking forward to learning more and making more things on it. So that's probably what I'll be doing. So thank you for hanging out and listening to my ramblings. The 2 winners, please contact me so I can send you your prizes. And yeah, Easter's coming up, so happy Easter to any of you that celebrate that. And spring is in the air. We've been having, like right now it's really sunny and then it's gonna rain and grass is growing like crazy because it's like, oh, we're spring. We're gonna go camping next weekend for a couple days, try Maisie out to see how she does doing some camping, and hopefully she doesn't just bark all day because that'll drive me crazy. So thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you next time. Bye.